Welcome to the 2022 Humboldt County Point-in-Time Count Volunteer Training. Point-in-time counts of all persons experiencing homelessness are required to take place during the last 10 days of January by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, or HUD. PIT counts increase community understanding of homelessness, retain and improve funding for homeless services, and meet federal data reporting requirements. They generate valid data regarding characteristics of individuals and families experiencing homelessness in our community, and they link homeless data collection efforts to national and local strategic, program, and policy planning. The PIT count has two components. The sheltered count conducted on the evening of January 25th. Most data is collected administratively through the Homeless Management Information System with surveys and head counts completed at the Eureka Rescue Mission and Blue Angel Village. The unsheltered count is conducted on the morning of January 26th. The definition of unsheltered homelessness used for point-in-time counts is as follows: individuals and families who lack a fixed, regular, and adequate nighttime residence, including individuals and families with a primary nighttime residence that is a public or private place not designed for or ordinarily used as a regular sleeping accommodation for human beings. This comes from the Hearth Act, Category 1 homelessness. That's a federal law. So what's included in the definition of unsheltered homelessness? Tents, makeshift shelters, streets, outdoors, vehicles, parks, abandoned buildings, campgrounds, garages. What's not included? Couch surfing, doubled up, overcrowding, clean and sober houses, jails, hospital beds, detox centers, rehabilitation facilities, and mental health facilities. We have 5 volunteer deployment centers, including the Church of the Joyful Healer in McKinleyville, the Arcata House Annex, the Eureka Municipal Auditorium, Fortuna Adventist Community Services, and the Mateel Community Center in Redway. To the extent practicable, volunteers will be assigned to teams and zones ahead of time. Volunteers will assemble at deployment locations at 6:30 a.m. on January 26th. Sign in. Deployment centers will make any necessary adjustments to team and zone assignments to ensure all zones are covered. Each team should have at least 2 members, at least 1 smartphone, and a vehicle if necessary to transport the team to and around their assigned territory. Teams will receive incentive bags, deploy to their zone, and begin surveying. Once your team has covered your zone, return to Deployment Center to report completion and return any unused incentives. The Blitz count methodology allows us to count people that do not wish to talk to point-in-time count volunteers. Volunteers are encouraged to attempt to survey every person in their zone who seems to be unsheltered within reason. It is important to respect the people you encounter during the count. Do not wake anyone up or shine flashlights in vehicles, tents, or makeshift shelters. Use your best judgment and determine whether it is safe and prudent to approach someone and attempt to survey them. When you approach someone, please smile and introduce yourself with your first name and state that you are a volunteer with the Humboldt Housing and Homeless Coalition, that you are helping conduct a survey of people experiencing homelessness, and that people who complete the survey will receive a reusable grocery bag that contains some useful items. We will be using a smartphone application to conduct the count. It's called the Counting Us app. To download the app, go to the Google Play or Apple App Store. And if you have a county-issued iPhone, go to your work apps. Open the app, enter your email address, and click Register. Enter your first name, last name, cell phone number, and make up a password. Once you're back on the login screen, enter the password you just created and select Login. Then select Choose Count. Next, Join New Count. Enter the setup key HUMB22 and select Join Count. Then select Get Started. Now, when you approach someone during the count, if they're willing to do a survey, select Unsheltered Homeless Survey 2022. Next, select Individual or Household. A household is any group of people that chooses to identify as a household, meaning they would all want to live together in housing, not as roommates, but like a family, if they had the opportunity. The app will ask you, allow Counting Us to access your location while you are using the app? Please select Allow. If you accidentally decline, you can change this in your phone settings. If you have cell phone service, a map should appear showing your location. Alternately, if you do not have cell phone service, you may enter an approximate address or drag the map until your approximate location is marked. Ask the person each question in the survey in order. Some questions in the survey will not appear until you have input an answer to other questions. Ask the person whether they've been surveyed. The next question is, where were you sleeping on the night of the count? We only need the type of place where the person was residing, not the actual location. If they refuse to tell you whether they've been surveyed, or whether they were residing in a location that qualifies as unsheltered, please back out of that survey by hitting back and do an observation tally instead. The following location types listed in the app are considered unsheltered: abandoned buildings, bus, train station, or airports, outdoor encampments, parks, streets or sidewalks, under bridges or overpasses, vehicle, boat, or RV. Unsheltered survey. The app will then prompt you to ask the person's name. There is no need to ask for or record the person's name. We ask for initials and date of birth to deduplicate surveys, but the survey will still count if the person does not want to answer these questions. If the person refuses to tell you their date of birth, age, or age range, it is critical that you guess an age range so that we know whether the person is a child, meaning under 18, a youth, meaning 18 to 24, or is at least 25 years old. The individual may choose not to answer any or all of the remaining questions and will still be included in the total count, but it is important to attempt to ask each person all of the remaining questions on the survey and have them decide whether to answer each question one by one. If the person is at least 13 years old, you will be prompted to ask if the person has substance abuse issues, chronic health conditions, mental health problems, or physical disabilities. If the answer to any of these questions is yes, you will then be prompted to ask whether that condition is a long-term disability that impairs the person's ability to hold a job or live independently. These are HUD's criteria for determining whether a person is disabled. Living independently refers to a person's ability to live on their own without assistance from others with activities of daily living, such as cooking, cleaning, shopping, etc. Once you've asked all of the questions, hit Submit Survey. If you are somewhere without cell phone service, the Submit Survey button won't do anything. Hit Save Draft instead. Once you are in a location where you have cell service or Wi-Fi, get back to your drafts by selecting Drafts on the app's home screen. A list of your drafts will appear. Select each survey from the list to open it back up and submit it. Please submit your drafts as soon as possible. If the person indicates they are part of a household that includes at least one other person, select Household and enter the number of people that were in the household on the night of the count. Anyone that was not sleeping in the same location is not considered part of the household for the purposes of the point-in-time count. You must fill out a survey for each household member. You must do the survey for the head of household first. Households may designate any adult as the head of household. People under 18 may never be the head of household unless there are no adults in the household. Adult household members may answer questions on behalf of other household members. Once you have finished the survey on the head of household, hit Submit Survey if you have self-service, or Save Draft if you do not. Then fill out the survey on the next household member, and so on. If a person does not wish to be surveyed, is sleeping, or if your team decides not to attempt to survey the person for whatever reason, and you think it is more likely than not that the person met the definition of unsheltered the previous night, select Unsheltered Homeless Person Observation 2022 in the app. Generally, if a person has not been surveyed, it will not be possible to determine whether they are part of a household, even if they appear to be part of a group, so select Individual. However, you should use your best judgment. Particularly in the case of unsheltered households with minor children, you may be able to reasonably conclude that you are observing a household, in which case you should select Household in the app. You must guess the person's age range. All other questions are optional. If you do answer any or all of these questions, it will help us improve our data quality. If you encounter a vehicle, tent, or makeshift shelter that looks like it's being used as someone's primary nighttime residence, but you are unable to determine whether anyone is inside, please select Vehicle/Structure Observation Tally in the app. The app will ask you whether the vehicle or structure appears to be actively being used or if it appears abandoned. Abandoned in this context means you don't think any unsheltered people are living in it. This is an example of some of the volunteer deployment zones that we have created. Drive or walk down every street, but do not enter private property such as backyards. Areas that are private property but that are open to the public, such as shopping centers, are fine. Your zone may include areas where you will need to get out of your vehicle and walk. Your team should decide the best route to take. Mark an X on the streets or areas that you have already covered so that you don't cover them twice. You may be assigned to cover areas where you will not see anyone or anything to count. It is useful to know both where unsheltered people are as well as where they are not, so please don't be discouraged. You are still contributing to the count. Safety first. Be safe. Don't take unnecessary risks. Stay with your teammates. Be respectful of those you are counting. Call your deployment center contact or Robert Ward if you have a problem or questions. Call 911 if you have a true emergency. Do not take any photos of unsheltered people or the places where they may be living during the count. Keep information you learn about people during the count confidential. COVID safety. Wear a well-fitted mask that covers your nose and mouth in indoor spaces. In outdoor spaces, wear a well-fitted mask that covers your nose and mouth whenever there is a chance that you will not be able to maintain at least 6 feet of separation from others. Wash your hands often. If soap and water are not readily available, use a hand sanitizer that contains at least 60% alcohol. Cover all surfaces of your hands and rub them together until they feel dry. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth with unwashed hands. Cover coughs and sneezes with a tissue or your elbow. Watch for fever, cough, shortness of breath, or other symptoms of COVID-19. If you are sick with COVID-19 or suspect you have COVID-19, please stay home and do not participate in the count. You may update or cancel your volunteer registration by clicking the link at the bottom of this slide. How to prepare for count day. Wear comfortable shoes and clothes. Dress for the weather. Bring a car if possible. Bring a charged cell phone. Bring a backpack or something similar to carry some incentives for people that complete the survey. Hand sanitizer. We will go, rain or shine. Get plenty of rest the night before. If you have questions, call or email Robert Ward at rward@co.humboldt.ca.us 298-3499. Thank you so much for volunteering. We could not do this without you.